back to Spill the Tea Lou for our 7 o'clock show. I see Rob and Guess and Palace and Shem, all the lovely people are filing into Teacup Castle for our evening stream. Please do remember to smash that like button on your way in, people. Let everybody know you're having a nice time at the tea party and that they are also invited for a bit of fun. I have, of course, got a title on the show because I can't call every single show Live with Lou. At some point I do have to actually title some of these shows. However, the title is more of a guideline. Do you know, if anyone ever watched the Pirates of the Caribbean and they talk about the Pirates Code and leaving people behind, and they sort of say, well, you know, that's more of a guideline. So that's what the title is tonight. We'll kind of talk about those things that are in the guideline. We'll have a little bit of a natter and we can talk about whatever you want, really. We're feeling a bit relaxed and chilled out this evening. Streets has also joined us. Oh my God, Shem has said we now have 8 listings on LinkedIn. We are such a useless board. What I'm more concerned about is that obviously people aren't applying for these because you keep listing more things. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to recruit people. So I understand the LinkedIn thing is a bit of a joke and it's not, you know, ideal. But I'm kind of like, look, if they need to recruit people, they need to recruit people. I'm more concerned about the fact that your list of people you need to recruit is getting bigger instead of smaller. That is not a good sign. Lovely Mama Flossie is with us. Welcome, Mama Flossie, to the evening show. A big up and nice to have you back with us. But yeah, so we're going to have a little bit of a route around, a little bit of a chat, all sort of just bits and fragments of what's going on. We can talk about whatever you like, though. It's not a hard and fast rule. It is, in fact, a guideline. So we will start with that and then we can move on to whatever topics you guys would like. Big up to lovely Luke, who has also joined us. Now, let me see. So, I wanted to give you a little update. This is a little bit fun, okay? Not as fun as the growing number of vacancies being listed on the Spurs LinkedIn page, but a little bit of fun. So, do you remember yesterday we talked about Reggie Bris? We talked about Sunderland, that they were contemplating his position, that maybe he would, you know, be let go if he didn't get European football. And we all said, that's a bit crazy. That seems a bit chaotic. That seems a bit unrealistic. Why would they do that? And then on this afternoon show, we discussed the fact that both Keith Downey and Fabrizio Romano had come out and sort of poo-pooed that. I said, no. His job is definitely safe no matter what. Well, there has been a development. The journalists are fighting it out on this story. And I'm just finding it highly amusing. I'm finding the whole thing a little bit amusing. But it does explain some of the confusion on why very different stories were out there, like very close together, and where sort of the confusion has come from in the last 24 hours. The clue is always read the comments. The clue in life, always read the comments. That's where the important information is. So I'm going to read it out for you guys now. But I see that we have been joined by Jerry Dave Springer. And Shem, genuinely, some of your comments make my day. Shem has said, does none of our board, tech, director of sport, general managers have any connections? Does nobody in the football club have any sporting connections at all? And I do have to wonder that. Surely between them, one of them knows a physio. Do you know what I mean? Surely one of them knows. Surely that, yeah. I have to agree with that, Shem, because I understand to a point, you know, recruitment, you advertise a position. But I also think Shem is absolutely correct. 8 jobs currently advertised on LinkedIn by Spurs. Do none of them have any connections. None of the board, none of the technical directors, the sporting director, the general manager. Nobody has any connections that would be suitable for any of these roles. So yes, I mean, fair point, Shem. Fair point. But let us unveil the mystery. Keep getting your comments in. Don't worry, we'll go off topic and go back to it. Go off topic and come back to it. So just stick whatever you want in the chat. Obviously friendly, but you get my point. Big up to Huge. Big up to Huge. That's 2 out of our 3 Titans in the house. And Huge says, hello, fellow teacups. So let me reveal the mystery of the reports about Reggie Bris. So essentially what it comes down to, apparently, and how it is playing out, the drama, honestly, it's like being at an all-girls school. It's like being a teenager again. It's absolutely hysterical, right? So what the report I read yesterday about Reggie Bris' position at Sunderland being at risk if he didn't get European football, that was from Graham Bailey at Team Talk, okay, who's a journalist. And then obviously Keith Downey came out earlier today, 10 o'clock this morning, saying, no, he's secure no matter what. And then Fabrizio Romano followed that up, okay? Well, since that, Graham Bailey has come out, right? He's retweeted his own tweet. And he's quote tweeted himself, his story from yesterday, and has added Reggie Bris' position what he has written is Reggie Bris's position at Sunderland may not be as secure as it appears, with Team Talk able to confirm that the club's hierarchy would consider other options, including Bournemouth's Andoni Iraola, okay? So this was tweeted at 3 p.m, which is obviously after Keith Downey came out and poo-pooed yesterday's story. And it doesn't end there, people. It doesn't end there. The drama never ends there. I love this. All the tea is spilling and my club is not involved in any of it. It's excellent. So, that was 3 p.m, okay? And that was Graham Bailey. Then, Keith Downey was having none of that. Keith Downey comes back and he answers him. And he was like, senior sources at Sunderland have informed that Reggie Bris, his job is safe, whichever position they finish in. Then go to the comments, okay? Go to the comments. Because some of the comments are like, why are you telling us this again? Like, we already know this. And obviously it's as a result of the Graham Bailey stuff. And so in the comments, Keith Downey has replied to one of the commenters and said, it's not a post I like to do, but the club have reached out. So Keith Downey is saying the club have reached out to quell, and he says the club have reached out to quell any fears. So Sunderland are doing their absolute best. They've come out. They've clearly gone to Keith Downey. They have clearly gone to Fabrizio Romano. They're doing their best to put it out there. No, his job is definitely 100% safe. Meanwhile, Graham Bailey's just doubling down. Instead of saying, okay, soz, like my information was wrong or whatever, he's just like, no, for sure, he's in doubt. Even though the clubs themselves are like briefing media people, being like, no, it's not in doubt. He's definitely secure. So I just think it's very interesting because not only can you not trust the X accounts, you can't trust the journalists. Not that that's news, but I mean, sometimes, often actually, even in here, we've come with different stories. Or like, I'll say something, or like one of you guys will be like, oh, I've heard something different, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, oh, that's a bit odd. Well, it's not odd. It's because some people just refuse to be wrong, even when they're actually wrong. So I wanted to just give you a little update on that. The drama has continued to unfold through the day. I'm finding it hysterical. Clearly his job is safe. Clearly Sunderland are absolutely just not going to get rid of him. Graham Bailey's been misinformed and has just doubled down. Chris Hendry's in the chat saying, my teeth hurt from eating fruit pastels. God, I love fruit pastels. GGMU. Big up to Chris. Jaffios is back with us. Welcome back, Jaffios, who was saying some journalist. Oh my God. And Jaffios also says, people trust journalists over the club. Fab Rom. To be fair, no, Fabrizio Romano was putting out the right information. The problem was Graham Bailey. Graham Bailey seems to have got it wrong, right? And then Keith Downey, who is a journalist, came out and was like, no, this is what the club have told us. And then Fabrizio Romano backed up what Keith Downey had said, which is what the club have said. And Graham Bailey's just like, having none of it. It's very fun. It's very fun. Let me see, what else are you guys saying? Jaffios is saying, oh dear Jaffios, Mama Flossie will not be impressed with that. the rivalry, be careful. Let me see. Huge is saying, do you think it's some sort of a play for a new contract on Reggie Labree's part? Honestly, no. Because from reading the comments on both journalists' posts, it seems to be the consensus, and I'm still learning all of this because, you know, it's all new to me. So I don't know who I trust and who I don't trust yet. I don't know. Nobody gets it right all the time, but I'm still learning kind of who are more trustworthy than others. So as I'm on my learning journey, you will be going down that path with me. However, based on all of the comments that I've seen on both posts, the consensus among the ex-commenters is that Graham Bailey has a habit of being unreliable and often puts out information that turns out not to be entirely correct. So I'm not sure that it's a play by anyone in terms of a contract. It appears to be that just the information was incorrect, and instead of admitting that the information, look, you win some, you lose some, he's doubled down. So I think that's all there is to it. I think it's now just become a bit of an ego thing. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's getting this information. It's very reliable. But I just think it's so funny because they're like a bunch of schoolgirls. I couldn't believe it when I saw, right after it had been like discredited, Graham Bailey just doubled down. I couldn't get over it. I was like, wouldn't you just like, okay, move on to the next story? But they are not. They are not the only journalists who have been talking about managers today. Big up to Niche Fan, who arrives with a strong message of, I have liked the video. So please do, everybody, like the video, as Rob very kindly asks. Jerry Dave Springer can change his name on Tuesday. So if we have any non-rude suggestions for Jerry Dave Springer's new name, do get those in the chat. He likes to be creative. If we get a couple of good ones, we'll run a poll as to what Jerry Dave Springer's new name should be. But get your suggestions in. Get us some fun ones and we'll run a poll on it. Palace is saying all of this going on with Sunderland playing tomorrow. Yeah. What I would suggest is, if it's all a storm in a teacup castle, and it is all a bit of nonsense, and Sunderland and internally everybody's quite sure it's nonsense, it won't really matter. If there's a truth to it, and this source really does exist, then maybe we would see it on the pitch, but I don't. I think it's a storm in a teacup. I just couldn't get over it when I saw him like doubling down. I was like, what's the point? Just like take the hit. Move on. Nobody gets everything right all the time. However, you might be wondering, why am I talking about poor Eddie Howe's job again? Will I not leave the man alone and just let him have his job in peace? Why do I keep talking about new managers going to Newcastle and Eddie Howe maybe not being there next season? Well, that is because the club have given me no indication whatsoever in any of these reports that they suddenly have... that they suddenly have more confidence in him staying. Shem. I like that one. Flossie has put in a suggestion of Twinkle Toes Tallulah. I like that. I like Twinkle Toes Tallulah. I'll be honest, that one could be a winner already. Unless we get something better than Twinkle Toes Tallulah. That's the winner. I really like that one. Chris Henry has says the Dunlop Green Flash. So we've more ideas. Keep spitballing, people. But I do. I like that. Twinkle Toes Tallulah. That's a good one. Shem's on strike. Shem cannot like the stream due to the morning stream shenanigans at his pub team's expense. Shem, I remember that I said something that irritated you. Oh yes, Wolves. I think Wolves are going to beat you. I apologise. That wasn't a joke though. That wasn't a shenanigan. That was a real prediction. I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but it was real. Big up United TV. Rich is in the house, just passing through to drop his like, as you should. But guys, let us move along to the next story. Big up JT. Welcome. JT, we are having new name suggestions for Jerry Dave Springer. So at the moment, the winner so far, by my vote, is Twinkle Toes Tallulah. That's the one to beat at the moment. That is the one to beat at the moment. But Ben Jacobs, it's not just all of the other journalists that have been talking. Ben Jacobs has been out talking as well, but he has not been talking about Reggie Labrie. Somebody else had to do some work around here instead of just fighting over Reggie and Sunderland, okay? So Ben Jacobs has come out with Eden Turchik now has his terms in place to become the new athletic club manager. Parties are yet to formalise, but Turchik, who has other suitors, appears more viable than Andoni Iraola, who was waiting until the end of the season before deciding his next move. And in case you were wondering why we were talking about the manager of Athletic Club, the clue is in that second sentence. Because if the thought was that Iraola was going to return to Athletic Club, despite the fact that he said that's not set in stone, this guy, Turchik, now has terms in place to become the new Athletic Club manager, which means it's not going to be Iraola, which means where is Iraola going? Because we know for sure he's leaving Bournemouth. And while I floated the idea of Chelsea yesterday, which Sam met with a resounding no. Sam was having none of me on that one. Chris has put in Rodney Trotter. To be fair, Dave, I do think that one suits you. I love Twinkle Toes Tallulah. However, I do feel like Dave seems like a bit of a Rodney Trotter. A bit of a Del boy. I could see that. I could definitely see that. But yes, so what that means is that Iraola is available potentially and would prefer potentially a team in the Premier League. And I'm not... That sounds painful to articulate out loud for me, but it is on brand for you, so go for it. So we are the Alice in Wonderland on psychedelics type cult. I guess based on that nickname, am I getting that correct? I'm going to read this out again, out loud. Okay, so we are the Alice in Wonderland on psychedelics type cult. I guess based on that nickname, am I getting the vibes correct? Yes, JT, that is exactly the vibes. Daffios says, haha, Iraola in capital letters, ? He's good, but we need a better manager than him. Facepalm. Well, I think your issue, Daffios, I'm assuming that you're Chelsea, because I haven't finished for the rest of it yet. Are you Chelsea? Is that Chelsea in your badge? I know you have your team in your badge, but it's teeny tiny and my eyesight is incredibly bad. So I believe that's Chelsea. So I'm going to go with it, and if I'm wrong, you tell me. But I think the problem with your club at the moment is very much what has happened with Manchester United. You sometimes have to accept the reality of your situation. So see there when you say we need a better manager than him. Okay, first of all, who's better than him? Because you can see somebody, okay, definitely Chelsea. No, that's okay. I wanted to double check. You can see somebody at another club and they can be fantastic and then they can come to your club and not perform. So somebody who might appear to be a better manager than him may not necessarily actually be a better manager than him. So that, first of all, for the most part, obviously there's some that are just would be outright better. But for the most part, that's quite a subjective thing. Like we got Amarim, who was the next up and coming people, who was exactly what we were looking for, literally fit all of our criteria to a T, who was the better manager, and then he came to us and he wasn't very good. We did the same thing with Eric Ten Hag. We've done it over and over and over and over and over again. So I think I understand what you're saying, but I think sometimes better is subjective. If you're talking about like the world-class, elite, tip-top, not arguable, better managers, you're never going to get them. And the reason you're never going to get them is because that type of manager will absolutely not operate under your board. Because they won't operate somewhere. Oh, we've a unicorn! Woohoo! Big up to JT. JT has put in a super sticker. It's a unicorn, because that's what we are. We're not teacups, we're unicorns. Big up to JT. I didn't know you could do a unicorn sticker. Oh, that was even better than the fox the other day. Oh, I like it. This is excellent. Big up, JT. And big up, because you guys are keeping the sticker trend going. We had Rob had the pair stickers in at lunchtime. JT's in with the unicorn this evening. The sticker trend is continuing. Love it. Absolutely love it. But yes, so I think the kind of manager that you're probably referring to in your comment is the type of manager that just aren't going to work under the way your club is being run at the moment in terms of ownership and board, etc. So what you have to look at is, okay, who's the best manager we can get with the structure that we have? Because let's face it, they're not leaving. Even if you want them to, they're not. Like I want the Glazers to go, they're not though. So I need who's the best to work under like those parameters, that situation. But to be fair, Sam had the same reaction yesterday, who was also a Chelsea fan. Sam's reaction was also no thank you. But you'll be pleased to know that's not my theory today. I've come up with a new theory, and I have to be fair, because I don't want to do the clickbaity thing. I have to be fair in the title put. Could Iraola go to Newcastle ? And then in brackets I have specified the fact that that is my theory only. There is no report on this whatsoever. It's my theory. It's just my theory that I'm putting out there. Because I feel like we've talked about Hopkinson's comments. We've talked about Hopkinson's comments about Eddie Howe. We've talked about Eddie Howe consistently saying that his commitment to Newcastle has not wavered whatsoever. He is fully committed to Newcastle, etc., etc. My concern is that Newcastle don't seem to be fully committed to Eddie Howe. That is my concern. And I'm thinking, if Eddie Howe goes, and that has been the consistent question, if Eddie Howe goes from Newcastle, who would you bring in? I think Andoni Iraola would be a fantastic shout for Newcastle. I also feel like his vibe fits the vibe of Newcastle a bit better. Now, Mama Flossie might come in here and be like, absolutely not, Lou. No chance whatsoever. But I do think that would be a really good fit, because I think Newcastle are quite calm. They're quite steady. They're not dramatic. They got pulled into it last summer with Isaac, but it's not how they normally are. They're not a dramatic club. And I feel like Iraola is quite an understated, sort of steady manager. I think the levels are probably about right. And as I've said before, it's not necessarily that I don't think Eddie Howe is a good manager. It's more so that I think sometimes you just need a change. And like JT says, how long is Eddie Howe at Newcastle? We looked at this before and I forget. So let me look it up and I'll double check. How long has Howe been at Newcastle? Because we did look it up, but I just forget. Eddie Howe was appointed manager of Newcastle on the 8th of November 2021. So So he's there 4.5 years. That's right, isn't it? 4.5 years. November 21 to April 26. Around 4.5 years. So I think it's not that Eddie Howe's a bad manager. I just think sometimes you just need a change. I think sometimes a change is just what's needed. It just refreshes you a little bit. And I think Iraola and Newcastle, it feels like a good match. It just purely on vibes, for no logical reason, it feels right. It feels like the right kind of move for him and for them. So, completely my theory. Eddie Howe might not be leaving Newcastle. Eddie Howe might still be at Newcastle next season. We don't know. I'm making an assumption based on Hopkinson's comments and on Eddie Howe's comments, because he was specific when he said, I'm committed to the club. My commitment has never wavered. I felt that was quite specific. And so I'm taking my assumption about that and my assumption about Iraola, and I'm sticking them together. So this could be absolutely way off the mark. But if Eddie Howe was to leave Newcastle, I think Iraola's a good shout, you know. I think that's a good shout. I think I've come up with a genius suggestion. But let me see what you guys say, because it wouldn't be like you all to disagree with me, but I think it's a great idea. Niche Fan is saying, better is always subjective. However, I wish we'd kept Amram. He had a clear and grounded philosophy. Ahmed and Mbumo were absolutely lethal in it. I definitely loved what he was doing in the background. On the pitch, I was slightly less convinced, but I certainly liked the way he was moving in the background. Daphios is saying for Chelsea that Fabregas would be a good shout. That seems to be mixed in the fan base. Some people have said Fabregas is a good shout. Some people have said not yet, or they don't want to damage kind of how they feel about him as it stands, which can happen when you get somebody you like in to be the manager. We know, we've tried it. JT is saying it's going to be Black Friday at the manager market this summer. It is, I'm loving it. I'm having the time of my life. And the reason I'm so interested in all of these sort of different manager movements and stories is because obviously there's the possibility, I mean, I think it's unlikely, I think we're just going to keep Michael Carrick, but it's possible we won't. So I'm interested to look at the moves that all the other teams are making. First of all, because next season we're going to have to fight them. So I want to know who their manager is going to be, because I think that impacts how well or not well I think they'll do, just as much as their signings, but also because we are going to be maybe not in the manager market. So I'm just keeping a little scope around the place of what's happening. Streets is saying, looking back to it, I agree with Niche Fan. He deserved time regarding the mess we were in and got great results against City and Liverpool with a terrible squad. Niche Fan is saying, oh yes, I like Dorgu. I prefer him on the wing rather than at the back 100%. We answered JT about how is at Newcastle. Let me see. Daphios has said, yes, Iraola would be the best candidate for Newcastle. Let me see. I'm going to scroll and try not to lose all your comments while I scroll. Let me see. There you go, Mama Flossie, just on 4 years. And what else? Yes, Niche Fan. Now we are stuck with Carrick and Mane, which is just less exciting than I was. Flossie is saying, who's not your type? Oh, Jose. Oh, yes, we're going to come back to that, actually. Let's go to that, right? We'll finish this, and then we're going to go to Jose. Thank you for bringing that up, because you all said I was nuts. Everybody said I was crazy when I talked about Jose and Chelsea. Okay? Do you know what? We're not going to it next. We're going to it right now. Never mind. I told you so's coming out. Well, guys, Sky Cave has come out and said Jose Mourinho is among the candidates being considered for the Chelsea managerial job. The Portuguese coach still owns a home just 10 minutes from Stamford Bridge. Sky Cave. Guys, you all thought I was crazy. I said this. And you all thought I was nuts. Well, guys, Sky Cave is on my train, and apparently he has some information that says it's at least a possibility and he's being considered. So, what do we think? I mean, who needs agents? We've got it covered right here at Teacup Castle. Jose Mourinho goes back to Chelsea, and Iraola goes to Newcastle, which leaves Eddie Howe free. And there's going to be about 20 different teams that need a manager. It's not like he's going to be out of a job. And we get somebody that's not Carrick. It sounds wonderful for everybody. I mean, it's a great idea. JT says, if I was a Newcastle fan, I would be maybe questioning the sporting director's decisions as well. The recent signings weren't amazing as what they were doing a few years ago. I have seen, and again, I don't know how true this is because obviously all the transfer rumours are happening now, but supposedly Newcastle are looking to move on Yohan Wissa at a much reduced fee. They've already accepted that they're going to make a loss on the signing and they just want to move him on. I have no idea how true that is, and I cannot remember where I saw it. I wonder, did I save it, that I might be able to tell you some sort of information about it. But I did see it, and as I said, all of the transfer rumours are coming out now, so it's very, very hard to know what's real, what's fake, what's true, what's nonsense. But I did see that the other day. No, I obviously just didn't save it. Because, oh no, there it is. This was from... I saw it on NUFC Talk Radio, but the journalist who was reporting on it was Pete O'Rourke. And he said, Newcastle are looking at striker options ready for the summer transfer window. It is likely when the club brings in a striker, then they will listen to offers of over £15 million for 29-year-old striker Yohan Wissa. The Magpies have already accepted that they are set to make a big loss on the DR Congo International, with sources indicating that they don't expect to come close to recouping the £55 million they paid to sign him last year. As for Nick Voltemada, the club wants to keep him this summer and think he will have a big impact next season. So as I said, guys, that's from NUFC Talk Radio, and the journalist is Pete O'Rourke. So just to go back to kind of what JT was saying there about the calibre of signings that they're making, it's not just about the manager, it's also about the signings. So that was put out there, guys. I'm glad I saved that because I didn't want to just be making stuff up and saying it to you. But there it is. So Chris Hendry is saying, reluctantly, we could lose the race and Newcastle get Carrick, then he can sell us all of their best players. To be fair, I mean, would it be crazy? If I was Newcastle, I'd be taking Iraola over Carrick, to be fair. JT says, if the transfers are going to go through, i.e. some of the transfer rumours like Gordon, who is still being rumoured to potter off elsewhere, then they will need to get reinforcements and build a new core. Correct. And we've already spoken this season about the fact that Newcastle's squad is ageing, so they're going to have to start getting more people in anyway. JT also says Iraola seems like a great fit even when I do a vibe comparison off the profile. That's what it is, it's a vibe. He just feels like a Newcastle vibe. I feel like he would suit. What else are you guys saying? Niche fan says, if I was Bowley, I'd get Amram ASAP. I think Amram would do a job. I really do think Amram would do a job. And I'm not even taking the mickey. I think he would do a job. Yes, I think so, JT. So JT says, also, maybe it's just the vibes, but after what Glasner pulled, did his hype die down? I haven't heard of any links since. Maybe I just missed him. No, I think he did untold damage to himself, and I think with the amount of jobs that are going to be available in the Premier League for managers next season, I think he has absolutely shot himself in the foot, because who is going to work with a loose cannon like that that's coming out saying all sorts of stuff in press conferences? And before that, it was Iraola and Glasner the whole time, and I think he's absolutely shot himself in the foot 100%. Shem has said Newcastle is perfect for Ange, Tudor is perfect for Chelsea, and Frank is off to United. Shem is killing me. Oh, I love it. I love it. You can be right and crazy. It's not mutually exclusive. I think normally they go hand in hand, if I'm honest with you. Jaffios says, the special one come back. Can Blueco bring world-class players in? I mean, I'm not sure if it's can they. I think it's do they want to? Niche fan says, I don't think you're crazy to think Jose could go, but it's a step back for them. Yeah, well, look, Jose isn't old Jose, and I think if he went back, he would risk ruining the reputation of the special one and everything he built. I think it's a bad idea. I don't think it's likely, but I thought it was an interesting proposition, and Sky Caves backed me up, so it's at least a possibility. Let me see, what else are we saying? Streets is saying already, damn, the signing initially made no sense, to be honest. Let me see. JT is agreeing with that, saying the Wissa signing screamed panic buy in the first place. And Dave is saying Jose would want full control wherever he goes. I agree. Shem says, I read that Jose has been offered to Real Madrid. Yeah, but I read the other day that Jose was offered to somebody as well. I think Jose is getting offered here, there and everywhere because Benfica had enough of him. I think he's had enough of Benfica, to be fair, as well. I think the story is over. Flossie agrees with that Wissa was an awful and a total panic buy. But you know what I think, right? They made a mistake. They bought a guy. It hasn't worked. And you know what? See, instead of flogging a dead horse, see, instead of forcing it, they've looked at it after a season. They said, this has not worked out. We know we're not going to recoup the money, but we would rather just move him on and get somebody better in, instead of trying to force something and maybe damaging ourselves next season. We've brought him in, it's not worked out, let's just let him go. And I thought, do you know what? That's very proactive. That's very proactive. It's very intelligent. They've made a mistake. They're dealing with it. They're not like the rest of our clubs, sticking their heads in the sand. Let me see. Flossie is saying Mancini has been linked to Newcastle. Did we read about that before? I think we might have read that before. I think that's a possibility. There's so many names I might be misremembering, but I feel like that's familiar. Has Mancini been linked to Newcastle? Roberto Mancini confirms proposals amid Newcastle United links. Italian manager Roberto Mancini has been viewed as a possible candidate to replace Eddie Howe if the hierarchy no longer believe he is the man to lead the club. That was reported 2 days ago in readnewcastle.com. So, yes, you have been linked to Mancini, and apparently he has confirmed the proposals. So there you go, Mama Flossie. You ask and I answer. Google is a wonderful thing when it cooperates. Dave. Yeah. Oh. You guys are, honestly, I'm trying to read. There's so many different conversations happening. I'm trying to keep up with them all, and I can't. I'm doing my best, but I can't. Yeah. JT is Shem is absolutely having none of it, wishing all his past suffering with the managers on all the rivals. Well, Shem has to get his kick somewhere. He's one of us. And Dave is saying John Terry seems a bit peed off he wasn't considered. I think he seems a bit peed off that he was told in no uncertain terms that not only would he not be considered now, but he would never be considered. I think that may have irritated him to basically, because I read it or I listened to it or I saw it earlier, and whatever they said to him, the way they worded it, they more or less said like, no chance, you're never getting a job under us. So I can understand why that would have annoyed him slightly, but yes, he seems a little bit peeved about the whole scenario. Daffios is saying yes, instead they choose McFarlane and then John Terry. with a face palm emoji, so not feeling it. JT says, yeah, that's a good step. That's the basics of entrepreneurship. Take the losses early. If you did a mistake, don't let them hold a place forever, hoping they will turn out good. Which is what we've done, which is what we continue to do. When we buy someone and it doesn't quite work out, we just hold on to them and hope and wait and see and maybe and potential. And it could be Newcastle have bought someone, they've made a mistake and they're going, okay, done. Also, I think Newcastle genuinely, like, they made the mistake last summer with Isak, where they went, you're not going. Isak went, yes I am. They went, no you're not. We had the whole rigmarole. This summer, the sort of rumours have started early about Tonali and Bruno G, and Gordon seems to be the hot one right now. It seems to be Gordon, and I'm going to read a Craig Hope story now in a wee second. But Newcastle seem to have immediately realised last summer didn't work out, we need to take a different tactic. Okay, one of you can go fight it out amongst yourselves. So I have to say, I do think, at least at Newcastle, they seem open to growth. They seem open to the fact that nobody knows everything, and that when they get it wrong, they learn from that and then they do it better the next time. So I think that's a really positive thing. I like that. I wish my club was like that. I think it's really good. I actually think it's more of a big club mentality than pretend it's not happening and hope it goes away. Flossie there is saying, it's funny how no club wants to take on Terry. And Chris, I have no idea. And just, I know you haven't said anything there, but just do make sure we keep to football in the chat. I don't want any politics whatsoever in the chat. People come to escape the real world. So I don't know is the answer, but just stick to the football. I don't want to stray into anything else by accident. JT says, no offence to my namesake, JT, but that is kind of biased from Blueco. I think he will never be a serious manager and doesn't seem like he even has the ambition and drive to grow in that department. Not signing Gordon will be my test for Berta. I let Madueke slide since he was kind of just coming into the club, but I won't let Gordon slip, even though I get the profile is what would fit for us. So you want to sign Gordon? Not signing Gordon. So if he doesn't sign Gordon, he passes the test? Okay, from reading that, my reading comprehension skills, you don't want Gordon. And he only passes the test if he doesn't sign him, JT. Am I correct? Based. Based like in good thinking and stuff. Okay, I gotcha. Luke is saying, I'm not a big fan of his, good player, but that's about where it ends. Fair enough. Daffios is saying, maybe, but McFarlane ending the season, not okay. I did get it. Thank you, JT. Reading comprehension on point. So, Daffios. Actually, do you know what, Daffios? Explain to me. Tell me, because I don't know, right? McFarlane is your under-21s coach. He stepped up after Maresca was sacked for the 2 matches and then went back. Why is it that you don't want him ending the season? Because I don't think anybody that you would want long term would be prepared to come in at this point of the season in the situation you're in and maybe do damage to their reputation before they've even started. So I understand why they may have struggled to find somebody else. McFarlane did a reasonable job with the 2 match, and maybe I'm wrong, you tell me. Did he not do a decent job when he managed the 2 matches? Post Maresca. Sorry, guys. Why can't I find it? Right, I'll wait for Daffios to just tell me. Did he win those matches when he took over after Maresca? But tell me, Yes, thank you, Daphios. Thank you. Daphios is saying he doesn't want the job. The City game was a one-off, but then losing to Fulham. Thank you, Daphios, because I said this yesterday, and I'm so glad that you've confirmed that I wasn't misremembering. McFarlane doesn't want the job. He didn't want the job at the time. He said that he was basically happy to cover for the 2 matches, and then he wanted to go back to the under-21s. I thought I remembered that. I was reasonably sure, but thank you very much for confirming. So, okay, he lost to Fulham. I can understand that. Fair enough. That's okay, JT. I was misremembering, but it's okay. We have Daphios to set us straight. Right. So is that why you wouldn't want him then to finish the season? Because if he doesn't want the job, then potentially his ambitions isn't there so much, or let me know. I see Flossie and Jerry are having a chat there about Anthony Gordon, about the potentiality that he is Germany bound, says Flossie. And Jerry is saying Bayern bound potentially. And Flossie is saying he can do one. Well, given his attitude and his apparent ego, if anything we've read is true, I would also be like, off you trot, wee friend. So, Niche wants Sancho reintegrated. Nah, Niche. No. Troublemaker. None of the troublemakers. I don't want any of them back. I don't care if they're talented. Sancho, Rashford, Garnacho. Obviously, Garnacho can't come back. And as I said, I would happily move on Menu as well. Anybody that had drama, get rid. Take the hit. Like, I'm praising Newcastle, saying they've recognised when something hasn't worked out. They know they're not going to get their money back, but they're moving the player on to make space for somebody who will work out and make next season better. I can't then say, well, United should bring Sancho back. Let him go for free. Take the hit. It's stupid. We would have liked to get money. I would rather take the financial hit and replace him with somebody who can actually do something for the club than keep him just as a placeholder, because I can't praise Newcastle for taking the hit and making the right decision and then wanting to keep him myself. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes the right decision is going to cost you money, and maybe if it costs them some money, they might actually learn not to do it again, to be fair. But there is actually a story on Jadon Sancho. This is great. I have all the stories and you are bringing them up by yourselves. This is wonderful. Shem. Not wonderful, Shem. Not wonderful. Destiny Udogie is injured again. What is going on at Spurs? Right, I have a theory. Full of theories today. Is it possible that some Spurs players are faking injury so they don't have to play in the matches that will officially send them down? Is it possible some of these injuries are not necessarily real, but they want them to, they just don't want to be associated. They want to start distancing themselves from Spurs and relegation already. And if they're injured, they can say, oh, well, I didn't play in those matches. Or am I just being a little bit cynical? What do you guys think? Let me know. Am I cray-cray? Dave's with me on Sancho, but there is a story coming out from Florian Plettenberg on Jadon Sancho, and apparently Jadon Sancho has given his approval in principle for a return to Borussia Dortmund. There have been several concrete talks, love it, we're definitely back in transfer season, and Dortmund have all the figures and information on the table. Sancho is open, but also has many other offers. I'd well believe it. It is now up to Borussia Dortmund whether they want to take the next step. Niko Kovac has already given the green light internally should Buck Ricken decide to focus on Sancho. So, I'm quite pleased about this because I was wondering, were we going to be stuck with him? I don't want him back. I don't want the attitude. I would rather just take the financial hit. We have to start recognising when we've made a mistake and move on and get somebody better. That we just have to stop. It just needs to go. is where I'm at. I've had enough of their nonsense. And Dave is saying, I'd rather replace Sancho with a kid from the academy, as would I, somebody who has less attitude. JT says, McFarlane was literally the assistant to the regional manager, Rosenio. What is going to change? At least plan out a solid interim before the layoff. No, McFarlane is the coach for the under-21s. He's the coach for the under-21s, unless I'm wrong. Niche fan says entirely possible. I think it's possible. I think he would like to go back to Dortmund. I think he would enjoy that because he was a big fish in a small pond there. They seem to work out a way to work together successfully. They posted about him the other day because somebody put up, a German team put up a post about a player being the first to get over X amount of goals and assists in a season, and Dortmund posted a picture of Sancho being like, we beg to differ. So there's a lot of love still there. This is possible. I'm willing this to happen. And you know what? I think it'd be good for him. I think it would be good for him too. Let me see. Ashley says, no, McFarlane was an assistant under Rosenio. Right, let me check this because I checked McFarlane the other day, and according to Transfer Market, he is the under-21s coach. So, Callum McFarlane. Let me look. Let me pull it up because I looked at this the other day, so unless I misread it, let us look. Okay. So, I did misread it. Thank you. He was the under-21s manager until January 2026. So, up until January 2026, he was the under-26 manager. Or the under-21s manager. Then, from January of 26, he did then become the assistant manager to Rosenio. Fair enough. Let me show you what I did. Can I share this screen? Wrong one. So we want to share the other one. Let me see. This one. So what I did was I read here under the blue line, and then I saw this yellow one, which is the new caretaker role, and I literally just completely skipped this entirely. Just completely skipped it. So thank you guys for letting me know, because I just would have completely got that wrong. So thank you very much for confirming that for me, guys. Shem says, I like conspiracies. The cult is getting good again. Let me see. Nish says, I thought De Zerbi could keep them up, but I doubt it now. Yeah, I think so. Ashley says, I don't think the players would do that for Spurs, but I think Palmer is doing that right now for Chelsea. Palmer seems to be a little bit of a diva. I have to say, do you see after some of the stuff now this season, some of the stuff that's been coming out, I would have a little question mark over Palmer's attitude. I would have a little question mark. Just some of the things I've been a little bit, so yeah, a little bit, just a question. Kai is here. Big up to Kai, who says he was the coach for the under-21s, but he got promoted to the first team. Correct and right, people. Big up to Irish Pit Terrier. Niche Fan says Dortmund will take him back. Let's hope so. Fingers and toes crossed. Daffia says McFarlane doesn't have UEFA Pro license until now. Crazy. That is crazy. Yes, no, you are correct, JT. You are correct. It wasn't you, it was me. Shem says Sterling is having such a bad time in the Netherlands. He's going to be a free agent again at the end of the season. Daffios is saying, what was he doing as an assistant to Liam? Oh my. Oh me, oh my. Kai is confirming he does not have a pro license or an A license. Crazy. Irish Pit Terrier is saying, I don't want Palmer, not for me. Either do I, to be honest with you. I'm not. And maybe it's just a vibe thing. It's a vibe show. We're talking about a vibe thing. I have to say, right, and this is probably a little bit unpopular, on a vibe thing, I don't think I would want Palmer, you know. I'm not saying he's a bad player, because I think he's a talented player. Do you know what I don't want? Another bloody 10. We've enough of them. I don't want another 10. I want like a midfielder. I want a striker. I want a centre back. I want a left back. I don't want another 10. Keep them. We've enough of them. What we don't need is a 10. JT says that the Sterling fall off needs to be studied. Kai is saying, the last I heard, he had a UEFA B licence, the same badges as me. What am I doing with my life? Kai, get yourself out there. If this man has the same badges as you, just send him an email and be like, if you would like some help, I'm available. I'll check my diary. I can free it up. Daffio says, to clear this out, Palmer under Maresca and Palmer under Liam, that's shown really well. JT says, honesty, that's a testament to how good Pep is at making average players look good. Every player that leaves City that looks amazing just ends up being average. Ashley says, Fabrizio Romano just reposted the Maresca to City link, hence all the Fernandez to City links. Fair. Makes sense. Guys, I cannot believe it. We have already been live for an hour. We have been live for a whole hour. I couldn't tell you. If somebody said to me, what did you talk about in that stream? I would say, who the hell knows? So that's a sign of having a fantastic time. That is a sign of wonderful chat, wonderful chatters, and wonderful tea. But it has come to an end, guys. I am off to enjoy a nice dinner. I hope you are off to enjoy a lovely evening. We're going to finish it on this one from Dave. Right. Let us decide. Are we going with, what was it, Flossie? Tallulah. Twinkle Toes Tallulah, Dave. That's what we've decided. Twinkle Toes Tallulah. But Dave says, Kai, he is only licensed to thrill. Remember, ladies, here I'm his agent. Kai he says, Dave better get him a good deal. But thank you very much, guys. JT has a hot take. 3 more sacked managers next season. Kai takes the interim for Chelsea at the end of next season. You heard it here first, people. Please smash a like on the video. Please go and enjoy your evening. And please do come back and join me tomorrow at 12 o'clock for the lunchtime birthday live show from Teacup Castle. Lunchtime with Lou. Have a good evening, folks, and thank you so much for being here and for yet again giving me such a giggle.